was in high school in Connecticut, I actually joined a FIRST robotics team because they came and did a little demonstration, and they had some videos and everything, and it was just kind of the typical engineers show up, and we said it was something different, that I hadn't been involved in. I was in math team and yearbook and a million other things, but robotics seemed like it was something different, and it would be fun to join with my friends. So in high school, I was on it for 3 years. As a mentor, I actually have quite a history. I graduated from the robotics team in my high school, and I went to Clarkson University. And when Clarkson was, when I was looking at Clarkson, they said that they wanted to, or they were interested in possibly starting a team when I had asked them, and they were asking me, what can we do to get you to come here to Clarkson University? And I said I was definitely interested in starting a team, but we needed money to do it, and I needed support from the school, and I would have to find high schools. And they said, let's do it. So I was really excited, and I said, all right, I'm going to Clarkson. They're going to let me start a team. And they gave me all the funding, and so I started the team there. And then when I graduated from Clarkson, there were some previous alumni that had actually heard of me in the Rochester area, and they had passed along my information to some parents, and the parents wanted to start a team at Penfield High School. And so at Penfield, I went and started another team. And for me, the third time was the charm. I loved the Clarkson team, but Penfield, we just had everything we needed. It was the right combination of mentors from Harris. It was a good combination of parents, students. So I was mentoring on that team for 5 years before I actually headed off to Boston. One of my favorite mentors was when I was in high school. There was an electrical engineer that I got the chance to work with, and he and I, sat down, went over all the electronics. He trained me on, wire gauges and everything I really needed to know, and it just came naturally to me. And he also taught me some programming as well. So we went through and we did a lot of that on the robot. And we just worked hand in hand really well. We'd get to competition. He'd say, hand me and I'd already have the screwdriver in his hand. And, the combination of the two of us working together, and that I felt like I really, belonged there and knew what I was doing, really interested me in engineering. I have one story when we were at the championships event. It was down in Florida, and we actually, had the robot. It was having trouble. We're in there. We handed a battery off to a mechanical engineer, and he went and wired the battery backwards, and we didn't know. And at this time, there was no fuse. So we actually put the battery in, and sparks were everywhere. It was absolutely crazy. And we're like, what happened? What happened? And I'm running back and forth trying to figure out what's going on. The other electrical engineer is helping me. And, we all of a sudden noticed that it was just the fuse that blew. And I'm like, oh, it's just the fuse. And I pulled one out of my pocket and, and handed it to him. He plugged it in, and, all of a sudden everything was actually working again. It was amazing. I wrote about that in my college essay. And that's actually what, got me into several colleges. So it was a lot of fun. It was a crazy moment. It was hectic. It's hot. But, it was nice to work so closely with someone. Mentoring for me has been something that's been really powerful. It was even more so than being influenced myself. And my favorite thing about mentoring is that you get to see these kids grow. You see them come in as freshmen or even as sophomores, and they're awkward. They have, they have things that they don't know how to do. They don't know how to present. They don't know much about engineering. And you see them grow and blossom into these leaders, that are ready to go off to college, and they have everything they need to be successful at that point. And it's because of the mentors on the team, and because I was able to give them, the knowledge they needed and help them train. And it's also nice in the FIRST robotics program because we're able to work one-on-one with them. We're able to work as peers, and the kids see that in a different light than when you're a teacher or a parent. And so for those students to have that interaction and be able to feel like they're comfortable, working with someone of that level, working with an adult, it's just a really great feeling. I had one student at Clarkson when I was a mentor at Clarkson, and he was, a good student, did reasonably well. He was having fun on the team and everything. At the end, I had his mother came up to me and she said, "I've never seen my son so interested in anything in his life," and that always tears me up a little. But it was the impact that I had on him, and he had never had anywhere that he belonged, and so that was a really powerful moment. We've also had several students go through 1511. We had one kid who came in, and his first question to me was, "Do you have a leadership team? I want to join a leadership team." And I'm like, "Whoa, okay, we're figuring things out. It's a new team." And he was very excited. Come to find out, he didn't fit in school. There weren't many kids that liked him. He had lots of different issues. But then we were able to work with him. And even though he didn't get along with every kid on the team, we gave him a lot of chances. And he's actually now down in New York City at college doing really, really well in one of the naval academies. And it's phenomenal to see the leader that he's grown into. And it's because we were willing to give him a chance. And so, he's another one of my favorite stories. He's doing a great job right now. We have a student right now who is a junior, and she's jumped on everything. She loves doing all the leadership stuff. She's our communications lead. She came in and she really, didn't really have a place in school. Her grades are, okay, but she's another one that didn't have a place to belong. And we were able to, give her a role in the leadership team and, taking on the communications and, helping out running team meetings. And she also jumps on every single event that we need organized. Anytime we have community service, she wants to organize it. Anytime we have, demonstrations, she's there. She's at everything. And right at the end of build season this year, we got information on a new award called the Dean's List. And we said, we have to submit her for this. And, I wrote in, I said, I want to write the essay. And I was able to, get some information from her on, a few other things that we wanted to add to the essay. But I sat down and, it took me 4 or 6 hours to write that essay. And I had it reviewed a bunch of times. So we probably spent a total of 20 hours on the essay. And we only had 3 days to do it total. And I absolutely loved writing that essay because it made me feel like I could help get her recognized. And she was so excited when we put the essay together, and she actually won in Boston, and I was in tears because she's just so deserving. And it was great as a mentor to be able to share that with her. And she came running up and gave me this huge hug, and we're all crying. And it was definitely a lot of fun. I think it's really important for young women to realize that they can do engineering just like any other. I was obviously in those shoes when I was in high school, and I feel that a lot of the women think that engineering is a very male-based career. And I'll be completely honest, you actually need, a little bit of confidence to realize that you can do it. But as soon as you gain that confidence and realize that, a woman can be just as good in science and math as, any of the guys there, then they can do engineering. And it's really simple. I went to college, and, getting into college as a female was probably a little bit easier. But then once I got to college, it was a male-dominated career again. And so I was in classes where I was the only female. And it was tough at times, but many of the guys treated me as a peer, and they didn't think anything different. All the teachers didn't think anything different. So it was very helpful for me to just be who I was and be able to do what I wanted to do. And then, when I graduated, it was probably a little bit easier to get a job as a female because all the companies are looking at diversity. But then you get into a career where, again, it's a male-dominated field. So you need to be comfortable there, but there were so many people that just looked at me for my abilities. And, as a female engineer, I'm able to, I got a new job recently and had no problem, interviewing and talking to them about my experiences. And, again, I felt that there was, no difference, where I work. They looked at me for my engineering skills and for, my leadership abilities more than, the fact that I was a female. So I think it's really easy for people to get caught up in the stereotypes. But we don't need to have those stereotypes. As long as you develop the right skills, then, women have the same ability as men.